I just keep thinking about how there needs to be no outward expression of the inner change. I just need to be able to be committed to and believe the inner change for myself. And I'm finding the more and more I try and translate the inner change into external phrasing, words, description, analogy, metaphor, the more kind of mental I find myself sounding, or I hear myself and I think if someone was explaining that to me, I would be like, okay, cool, good for you. Yeah. And I need to acknowledge no one's saying that directly to me. So there's no point spending time making that up. And B, that's actually okay if they are saying that directly or behind my back. That's actually so okay. That's part of it. I think we all have a hard wiring predisposition to liking things staying the same, and consistency, and the ability to kind of predict things for our own survival. And I think I need to keep adding a little bit of like, keep them guessing. Don't let them know your next move kind of energy to things. So today, when I booked a $22 Jetstar flight to fly to Townsville with Shannon Knoll on board, singing in a 2004 themed party for Jetstar's birthday anniversary, I thought that's a good keep them guessing move. And I'm starting to try and really trust my instincts, I think. At the end of the day, books, conversation with peers, research online, AI coaching, at the end of the day, there is no one singular or many source that is going to come up with a blueprint of like how to step through whatever this is, whatever this thing is, this kind of chapter, this little edge, this kind of thing that I'm exploring, the idea of manifestation, sure, but like just this like moment in my life. There actually is no clear way forwards. And by that I mean, you know, often parents will say, parenting doesn't come with a handbook. You just, no one told me. No one bloody told me I wouldn't be sleeping very much. Or no one told me about the changes in my hormones and my moods. Or no one talks about what happens to your relationship once you've had kids. And all of those things are untrue. And it's hard because you can't look at parents in the eyes and say to them, you're a liar, you idiot. And nor would I want to, because I'm not that brave. But there's lots of textbooks on parenting and there's lots of information out there. And how could you be shocked by almost anything these days with the amount of information available at the possibilities of what could happen on your pregnancy journey, says a childless man on the internet. But I'm not talking about that where I'm like, oh, I don't know how to navigate an online presence, because there's lots of stuff about that. What I'm talking about is how to navigate producing online content as a ticket to gaining more financial security, wealth, growing my own brand and recognition and products and things like that. How to navigate that in a world where traditional media is constantly having to kind of reinvent and re-justify itself and pivot and replace. How to navigate, like 100 years ago, which is what, 1916? Oh, okay, bit of an awkward time in history, but 1926, getting towards another awkward time in history. But you know, it was just not possible to think about being an actor or an artist and sharing your wares beyond where you could travel to in a van or a procession of caravans or something going from town to town. Like there was no way to have the kind of mass exposure that is able to happen even with just one of these videos, let alone all the kind of like, you know, stuff that gets heaps of views on TikTok. So it's very interesting to navigate that and know how to kind of keep going forward at a time. Like people will tell you about like how to be a content creator. Even that, it's not quite, I didn't feel comfortable describing as a content creator because I just feel like I'm sort of trying to link this up to my existing acting career and profession and training and things like that. So even that's just a little bit new and and people that are writing about it or putting their theories out there is always inevitably always going to be a bit behind because they're basing it on results that have happened last year, last month, yesterday, which is even already different to today. It's just a phenomenally fast pace to be able to try and keep up with a plan and a strategy while still producing the content. And I just have no idea how anyone does this. I guess there's a lot less time-intensive content where people pick up their phone and just say a thought and then press post. But I just don't know how people find the time to be posting multiple times a day if it's quality, interesting content, which a lot of it isn't. Anyway, I am feeling like the following, and I'm just going to be brave and share more about, like, here's where I'm thinking, and we'll see where it ends up in reality. The Pilates membership. Let's talk about specifics of that. Negotiating a fee currently with the company that reached out that I mentioned in the last video about the video that's earning me way more money than I expected. Negotiating a further extension of that fee to use the video on other platforms. Randomly, a friend dropped another voiceover potential gig. Not secured, but exciting that just comes out of nowhere known, no known path. Weird kind of interesting thing happened with an audition for a film that I did that they came back and were like, oh, sorry, we're just looking at a different angle. We want someone with piano skills. And so now sort of weirdly re-auditioning with that, but also adding piano into the mix. Just interesting. Who knows what that'll come to. And something else money-wise that came up. Oh, I just feel like this Jetstar flight thing, right? Like, there's a bit random throwaway that I just mentioned earlier. I am going to go to Sydney to catch this one flight to then just go to Townsville for 2 days because, like, I don't know, why not? I love a North Queensland kind of little getaway. And I just feel like I might get some content out of it. It's hard for me to answer, what do you mean, Kyle? You don't do travel content? You don't do, like, what are you talking about? But it's just something that I feel like, I know, I can't quite explain it. I just sort of have to do it. And I've been not wrong before when I've just followed that same sense of like, I can't quite tell you. It's just so weird that I just feel like I have to follow through on this. And sometimes that feeling that I'm describing has led to me forcing myself into having to explore new skills to put together a video. So we'll see. I feel like I would like to do more of that kind of like travel, adventure, sharing experiences, taking on quests, the ability to share something that's maybe a bit like normal but presented in a way that's slightly different from every other. Come with me to have a coffee and a matcha at Melbourne's new hottest, blah, blah, blah. Like something that's a little bit more acerbic or subversive, or maybe I can lend a comedic voice to, something like that. And then, so Pilates continues to kind of, sorry. So many thoughts going in so many directions. The reason I was just sort of talking about some of the things I'd like to do, where I was about to give an update on the manifestation 30-day challenge, kind of what money's coming in. I really do in my heart just think that the answer to this Pilates membership will be so fun if it becomes from an individual backer or something like that. It would be so fun if it's lots of like things that neatly stack up to the $4,000 equivalent of $80 a week over 12 months. It would be so fun if a Pilates studio reaches out and is like, hey, if you come here and make a video every week, we'll pay for your membership. All of those things I could see happening and are great. But I think what is more likely to happen, and sort of is the bigger secret plan here, is that I think what I'm pulling in towards me and pulling myself closer towards is a much bigger plan than a Pilates membership, right? It's just one part. I mean, you can't really see everything up there, but there's a lot of goals on there that are beyond a Pilates membership. And as I start to feel how normal it is now to be like, okay, one video that I post equals $1,000 of a brand deal, right? And advertising paid content. So already they've been coming in with very little effort in the sense of like, I click on a thing, I say a number, they approve or not, they send me the details, I make the video, they post it, I get paid, the end. Like, so I think it's starting to feel like, okay, great. That's so easy and that's just entry level. And so I think if we just start to keep dialing that up, I can really feel the sense of like, oh, $10,000 for a video would be money well spent if I was a large organization and I was giving that to a creator that has 500,000 followers, for instance, but also most importantly has a track record of really high engagement on video to video, which is another interesting thing that I've been stalking a lot of creators that maybe have a follower count in the millions even, but then their videos do not get as strong an engagement as mine. It's again, always just the most helpful thing for me about social media is that it comes back to such strong, clear analytics. So anyway, I think the way that I'm likely to get to that $10,000 a video kind of premium fee to be charged is that, and other branded content, whatever else, I think is through growing my audience and growing my following. So to do that, I just need to keep posting and growing who I am. And when I think about all of those things connected, Pilates, membership, this 30-day challenge, I'm really like, I'm finding all the little evidence of how I'm activating myself in everyday life. So I would say even last night is an example of like, had got my run in early, great. Was sort of should have been working on another written piece of work, nothing to do with this. But then was like, I need to get this soap opera episode out. I've had it sitting on me for a few days. I know I have to just boringly kind of work out how to film it, script it, go get it up, edit it. But it's always like difficult when I know that's going to be a chunk of a couple of hours work to start. And then I just thought about reporting to camera. And I thought about reporting to camera because we've got this manifestation challenge. And I thought about the idea of like, but this is the work, Kyle. The getting to $500,000 getting to $500,000 and 500,000 followers does not happen by me, having a night where I just kind of like chill out and have a rest and blaze up and then be like, I'll get around to it tomorrow. Because I could do that too. That's an option. I could be doing probably 3 times as much content, I would say, but it doesn't come from a place that feels as good as making content on the schedule that I am does now feel. Like I would love the idea of a regular, hook of content that comes out daily at the same time. And it's okay if some of them are good and some of them are a bit less good because everyone sort of knows to tune in at this time. That would be ideal. I don't think I can keep up that schedule at the moment because I just have a life to live and I don't want to squeeze the joy out of this by beating it into a regular routine, especially for the sake of money. When we're fine at the moment, we're doing fine. I have enough money. So all of that is to say that I think all of these sort of filter down into a really, really clear point, which is just like, keep going. You've arrived. You're doing it. And keep going. Yes, and more, please. Another step forward. Yes, I will. I spent some time in Mind Magic and AI trying to nut out what was a suitable example of like a little mantra to kind of use. There's a story in there about a student going into med school and she is wanting to sit the kind of test and get into med school. She rejected the first 1 or 2 times or something like that. Eventually she gets in and slowly by slowly she kind of like manifests this path to becoming the doctor that she wants to be. And she does that by imagining the faces of the patients of the people that she's helped, once she's achieved this goal. And the things that they're saying. And I was like, what's the equivalent for me? Like, I want like just a little really tangible little script to kind of run through before bed or at different times. And then I was like, it doesn't look like there's no one singular thing. And it'd be so crazy to shut off so many things by knowing what I know about content creation and media and storytelling and things now. Thinking like even 1 year in the future, who knows what we're going to have? How exciting. And so I realized like the most valuable resource that I have right now is this surreal comment landscape that exists on TikTok, right? And Instagram, I guess, too. And a little bit on YouTube too. Thank you so much for watching and commenting. But like, I don't need to imagine what it would be like to be a wildly successful creator or content creator or storyteller or whatever. I don't need to imagine what people might say if they see my work. I can refresh my app every minute and there are new notifications and comments of people writing the most kind, generous, wildly outrageous, audacious things. And I mean that because I know that some of the superlative language that we use online is not reflected in the most kind of like authentically genuine heart space of like someone, your friend saying to you like, you did really good, is going to mean more than someone being like, this is my most favorite thing in the world ever. Where you're like, I don't think this video is your most favorite thing. But anyway, even with that in mind, there are now thousands and thousands of data points for me to draw on to be like, oh, if I want to find 10 people that have described my video as a genius work or me as a genius, I can find that for you. I could pull that up right now. People saying they want to watch my work in a TV show. People saying that they like my unique voice. People saying that I like your bag stuff. I like your other stuff. People being like, I love your commitment. Like, there is just a never-ending rainfall of positive affirmations. And they're the same things that make it really easy to be like, I can imagine then in my little script, my manifestation script, how nice it feels and what that destination feels like, because it's pretty much what I'm in now. That is the comments that are like, I remember him when he used, did you know this is the guy that used to do the bag videos, but they're describing a video of me, having seen me in an Australian TV series, right? But being like, I knew I'd seen him somewhere before. Yes, OMG, I was an OG, I was watching from the start. I can imagine the comments that are like, oh, whoa, I feel like I've been here from the beginning, watching all of the pieces of you come together in your full form. Or like, couldn't have imagined that blah, 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 bag videos could have led to the... I can see, I don't need to run through them all, but like, I can see those comments so clearly because they've already started to come through in different ways. And it's just such a lucky gift that's been handed to me at the moment to be able to ride this step by step. As I was saying, I think last time, I'm like, I'm not totally sure how I would, if I'd be so easy to kind of feel as lubricated in my imagination and living out the positive feelings if I was, if the foot of local government was on my neck at the moment. But it's not. So it's not my concern and I don't need to be worried. The last thing that I just wanted to talk about is this idea of, have you heard this phrase before? You know how people are like, you are the sum of the six closest people to you, or like your salary is often the average of the six people nearest to you. And it's so interesting because I don't know if I've had a strong reaction to that previously. I've sort of been like, I guess so, but I really like artists and I'm around them a lot and that makes sense. And then it's so interesting since I have been in Melbourne, where I've moved this year. I have found myself in the homes, at the dinner tables of, at the kind of like in the communities of people that have a lot more wealth than me and assets and are asset rich and even kind of status rich in the conventional sense. And I thought that was really interesting in noticing like, there's even a few times where I'm being like, I feel like I'm on a main stage of a state theatre company doing a production of like, something by Hannie Rayson or, something that kind of like shows this kind of like upper class, dinner party kind of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf style kind of scenes. And I don't know, I'm just sharing that because it is interesting. And then I also do think about, as I start to more clearly hear the kind of stories in others, because it's easier to hear things in others than we hear in ourselves, right? Even though I'm really trying to be like, what does that say about me? What about that thing that irks me about that person irks me about myself? That's really what's coming up. And really noticing like where I've talked so much about focus and how much gratitude I feel for the focus that people are giving to me and watching these. But I also am aware of like, where is my focus going? Something is happening with my TikTok consumption. I love TikTok and I love watching it, but I'm noticing that I use this excuse of like, I've got to stay across trends and things. Well, not really. I'm not that kind of creator. And then also on top of that, it doesn't take long to figure out what the pulse is of the moment. Like, it doesn't take longer than an hour of scrolling per day, max. Absolute max. That is so well versed in what's going on. You do not need to be digging any further. And I'm really noticing that like swipe a couple in just to start being like, hang on, do I really need to know a secret power of blueberries? Or could I be reading a book right now, scripting something, thinking about my own creative work, or doing something off a screen? Do I really need to know the one hack as a parent that you... But no, immediately no, I don't need to know that. Do I really, really need to hear another take on the Met Gala? Absolutely not. Because it's neither funny, subversive, interesting, educational, inspiring. It's none of those things. It is just neutral slop. And I want people to eat up my neutral slop. I don't want to be eating up neutral slop. I feel a little bit exposed saying that. I don't think what I make is slop, but I'm very conscious of the fact that I don't want to be a consumer, and yet I really rely on mass consumption to scale this up to the level that it's going to scale up to. And I think that is a little bit of like an ethical wrestling with all of this. The idea of like, it's why people so easily stumble into selling courses and books and merch and product. And it's why, and I sort of do, I don't know, the purest form of making money at the moment feels like the buy me a coffees where someone sends $5 and is like, thanks so much, I just had a really good laugh watching your videos. And it's like, holy smokes, can we just go back to sleeping under trees and, you know, drawing in the dirt with sticks and trading berries for jokes? Like, that would be amazing. Anyway, that's that. Okay, so my commitment is, so I guess manifestation, nothing wild to report other than like I continue to manifest my own existence, my body, and the very physical structure of my body changing before me through diet and exercise improving. I am just like have such a reminder of like the power of our thoughts and what it can do to the physical world around us. I feel so deep down the cuckoo rabbit hole, but feel a bit cautious about talking about it outside of here and some very key specific relationships. I feel like I still feel so much bliss and like I'm on the right path and that I'm doing it and it's happening and we've arrived in so many ways and we're just kind of like rolling the little digit counters to get to the number that's the correct number to start to feel even better. I need to remember chance and random adventure and taking some like don't let them guess your next move kind of action with the things like the Shannon Knoll flight, which I look forward to making a video of and sharing that. And you know, ultimately, I'd really like someone to like fund a TV show that I get to make where I'm like have the creative control. And that TV show is like sketches or characters or is some sort of like a modern day soap opera. That would be really fun. And I want to do that over parts where people get to know the characters and get to form a relationship. They get to have a say and have a kind of conversational element of contributing and co-creation. And then when I say that, I love the ability to be like, that does not need to look like what someone like Chris Lilly has done. That can be done in a way that I do it. And actually, I can do it right now because do you know what you need to do that? A creative mind, check. An audience ready and or willing to consume and watch you, check. The ability to creatively source props, costumes, and tell stories through the creative sourcing of those kinds of things and pulling them all together, check. So then I'm like, okay, let's go. Let's do it. So I think that's also just my first articulation of like, I want to create a little series, a little pocket container, a little like the soap opera versions of TikToks of the Love Luxury things are the first step. But then I think we can go further with that in order to kind of like some of these characters could spin off. But it's like, I don't know. That's it. The words are starting to sink it down. Can you feel that? Like the ideas are buoyant and kind of ever potential, and then the words kind of put like covers on them and are like, okay, it's not really making sense, Carl. It's getting a bit weird now. And I'm like, I know. It was pure in my head. But this is the thing, right? The amount of novels I've heard that people are writing that are perfect, that are so good. And do you know why they're perfect? Because they're not written. And as soon as that title leaves your brain and enters the world via your body, the magical vessel that is your body, the magical manifestation tool that brings things from whatever goes on up there and out there and in here and out there, this instrument is able to bring things into creation. Like, as soon as it does, it's an imperfect version, right? But that's what this is all about. This is the art and practice of taking those imperfect creations and seeing how to improve them. And I think it's about like, just keep going, just keep doing it. Oh, Jennifer asked a question which I just want to answer via video. Thanks, Jennifer. I should, maybe I'll stick a screenshot of your comment here. Oh, quick. Can I find it? We're running out of time. The question was essentially, why haven't I bought a house? And then Jennifer said something about like, in Canada, on your salary, it's a good salary. So I was on, if you're talking about my salary of my last job, local government, I was on 96,000 Australian dollars. The median house price in the LGA, like the area that I lived in, was $1 million. It was over $1 million. So for me, that is still a long way off from having a stable, consistent kind of set of regular money that could be paying it off. I think there's a couple of factors to answer the question, which is like, I would need to stay in a job like that and stay at that level of income in order to pay off the house. But that comes with the shackles of life and the kind of conventional kind of life and career that I'm trying to avoid at the moment. So definitely, I could have just stuck that out. I reckon I could have got another pay rise and another promotion and whatever else and started to pay off a house. But I'm trading that for freedom. And there's no way that I could have invested in this creative little career and window into my true destiny and into earning a lot more money than $96,000. But at the moment, we've got to take a hit in order to get back there because we're stepping out of that kind of rat race, I guess. So that's one thing. The other thing is like, I've not been on that money forever. Before that, I've worked a mix of like working for not-for-profits and NGOs, working as a freelance creative, which have been some of the best times of my life. I've never worked a full-time or salaried role and that being my favorite work. My favorite work has always been when I've gone for a year or 2 years and ducked from like doing a play, a creative development, a short film, all these other random gigs, emceeing, comedy, tours. They have been the best years of my life. And there's been some fun organizational roles, but never that good. So I think in those years, my salary would have been more like $60,000 to $75,000 when I was freelancing. So yeah, I guess that's it. So haven't saved up enough all my life. I've had some really skint kind of like artist creative eras where I've earned way less to like 30,000, whatever. And then it's only recently that I've had much more consistent earning capacity just have had a job that pays me more. And yeah, that's basically it. That would be my answer. And then there is something psychologically too that's like, I just don't, like a question a few years ago when I first started looking into buying a house or an apartment, I was like, but where do I want that to own that? Where would I want to own that? And I do have something a little bit ethically irksome about owning property that you don't live in. Even one, it's a little bit kind of like socialist party, ideals. But I just think the idea of the investment property is just really hard to, I don't know. As someone who's lived the rental kind of existence, I get pretty like, I feel pretty clear in my, like, I would not preach this to a friend that was like, oh yes, I own 2 properties, because what's the point? But I would definitely think that is excessive. You don't need to. You absolutely don't need to. Why would you need to? But that's just me. And who knows if that will change in time. But I just really that would be great to own somewhere that I live. Absolutely. But that pressure, like rent is fine. To me, rent is not a pressure. That's just like, it's a regular repeated thing. If things break in the house, or there's no, with renting, there's no major, like the plumbing burst and now there's a huge plumbing bill, or, what happened the other day, there was like electrical damage or a socket not working or something like that. It's like, I pay $0 for that, but the landlord fixes up that bill. To me, this kind of career and the risk that it takes to kind of set things up at the moment is not conducive to being able to wear the cost of paying off a mortgage and that. And I saw that repeatedly with all of my colleagues. I'm sure some people can pull it off, but I'm just saying most examples shown to me in my life have been people saying like, I hate this job. I hate this workplace. Oh, why don't you quit? I've got a mortgage. I've got kids. I've got private school fees to pay for. I've got that. It's okay. Things are going fine. Yeah, but if I didn't have the house or I didn't have that, but it's like, I'm going to be here for another 5 years or what, and to me, okay, I'm just going to say it. I'm just actually going to say it. I would rather be homeless than work in local government again full time, I would rather not be able to afford rent and be working out where to live because I can't afford a home to live than work in local government full time. That is the honest truth. That's not going to happen. I'm gonna contribute a lot in all my tax that I pay with the immense amounts of money that I earn, but I'm just saying that to be like, I feel so committed to staying away from that life that that I will do anything. I would do anything to move in a different direction and find some other creative pathways. I'm just highlighting that example and the privilege that is me being able to speak lightly about homelessness, right? Which is a really full-on thing, obviously. But I just feel really committed to making this work. Thanks for listening. Bye.